good news is still coming to you live. It's Sunday Paper.
My childhood herpes. My childhood herpes. My childhood herpes.
College, I took a shit in the shower.
My childhood herpes. My childhood herpes. My childhood herpes. The V is for vagina.
Give me a crinkle. All right, here we go. I'll try to put more food in your mouth as we start the fucking podcast. Read all about it. Read all about it. Extra, extra. From Portland, Oregon. The weather report, bleak, cold. Oh, you're not going to like it.
Let's do, even though we started, you moron, let's do the claps for audio. Go ahead.
Okay, let's do it. One, two.
Oh, wait, I have to unplug. Do it again. Oh, shit. Go ahead.
1, 2, 3.
All right, here's mine. 1, 2, 3. Boy, that's entertainment.
Read all about it.
You're doing that again?
No, I can't.
No.
I'm losing my voice. I did like so much press yesterday in Portland, and then I did an interview. I had Sam Morrell on the podcast. He'll be on this week, and that was a good one. What a fucking funny dude. He's just such a great guy.
You sound a little. Who are you talking about?
Sam Morrell.
Check. Oh, he's such a good guy.
Great dude. You did the Letterman thing with him, right?
Yeah, so I was doing it. It was that week. It was the Netflix. I'm going to finish chewing. It was a Netflix comedy special. Comedy festival that week. And then I went up to see Bert Kreischer up at the Greek like a few days before. I had never met Sam, and he was on the ticket there. And so in the after party thing at the Greek, I forget who I was with, introduced me. And I go, oh, hey, I'm, and he's kind of looking at me strange. And I said, I'm one of the writers, and I'm producing under the Letterman thing, and I'll see you down there. I'll see you tomorrow down at the Henry Fonda Theater. Blah blah blah, and I'm just like saying stuff. And I said, I introduced who I was and everything. And he's like, wait, dude. He's like, you're on Fitzsimmons' podcast, duh. Of course I fucking. And he was so complimentary.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really, he's part of a group of guys coming out of New York that's really like has been a big part of comedy. And I don't think I'm underselling this. I think that there's a handful of these guys, him and Mark Norman and Joe List, and they've really pushed comedy onto YouTube in a way that it wasn't there before, and they've made it so that any comic can put a 1-hour special on YouTube and get real views, and it's replaced Netflix, and it's because he does really good fucking comedy. And I just watched his new special yesterday on Netflix. It came out in September, but it's so solid.
Yeah, no, he's really good, and he often posts his crowd work, and he gets. I guess he's just so open to it that it increases your chances of getting, because you have to get lucky with crowd work,
Yeah,
and he does. It seems a lot, but he probably does a lot of it. But anyway, also so nice and a real New Yorker. Like in Manhattan, and so we really talked a lot about that because some people will call themselves a New York comic, but they're not a real New Yorker.
Right.
Nice. So Portland's all right.
Portland's all right. We've been selling out all the shows, and people have been really kind. We had these two women come out, and I couldn't fucking believe it. I'm selling my merch after the show because I'm a whore. And then I look over in the corner of my eye, and there's a woman, and it's Blondie. She's Blondie. She has on the Blondie outfit, the blonde wig. She's kind of hot.
Did she double down and wear prosthetic Asian feet?
She did not. And she was with another woman who was dressed up as Hagar the Horrible. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And it was this woman, Erin Beckstead is her name. She's my other Erin on the internet. And they hung out. We took a bunch of pictures. Post it. Let's put it on the show right here. Here's a picture of us together. And I'll also put it on Instagram. But I was very touched. It was awesome.
That's amazing.
And then also, like, I like these. Here, I'll hold these up as well. I like these nuts.
Okay.
They're from Trader Joe's. They're sesame honey cashews.
Oh,
and
you talked about the shortage of them.
And there's a shortage of them, and they don't sell them in L.A. And so 2 different people came to the show. One of them gave me 3 bags, and one of them gave me 2 bags. So I got a bunch that I'm bringing home, which was very sweet. And it's just been great.
Cool.
They've been great shows.
It would be cool if someone brought you the same size bag full of Adderall because of that shortage and how hard they are to get.
Are they hard to get? Really?
Okay, so get this. I've heard about it, whatever, but I hardly take them, which is a big problem because I'm in, I'd say, a full-blown spiral of being unproductive. But anyway, I found a little pill. I found it in the bottom of my shave kit. I should take it now, and we should try to track when it kicks in. Would that be a fun thing to do?
Yeah, let's do it.
Even though, by the way,
countdown. What is it
here
usually,
it
about
goes.
30 minutes?
I don't know. I take a baby amount. I also, in my other hand, have a coffee, so I'm a full-blown junkie right now. So here we go. Here goes the 5 milligram. It's technically what's it called?
Time release?
No, Ritalin.
Oh, Ritalin. Yeah, that's what I take.
Yeah, I think you recommended it to me. I really can't tell. It's all cocaine. So anyway, I go into the pharmacy and they're out. And that was the first time it ever happened to me. And I'm like, and I thought the pharmacist kind of had a sense of humor. And I was like, well, do any other CVS's have it? She's like, let me check. And I'm like, and I'll drive out of state. And and the joke kind of fell flat. She just like looked at me a little alarmed. But I seemed like a junkie. I mean, that was the idea. And I think I did it maybe too well.
Yeah. You should have told her you'd suck her dick for it if you needed to.
I'll meet you by the dumpster.
Yeah, it helps. It definitely helps if you need it. You know what's weird about Portland? The shows have no black people. And I do a couple jokes that are racially charged, that are a little bit edgy, where I talk about race, and they do not work in Portland. Because there's so much white guilt that everybody just clams up.
Well, I am not by any stretch of stand-up, although I am going to be in town on the 17th, it looks like,
that's
of
great.
March.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am not, but Greg lets me go up, once a year, and sometimes I do a school benefit, and it's, it's very well. People are told I'm a comedy writer more than anything. Anyway, I remember doing a school benefit. You were there as well for a friend, and I did that joke about MILF, that the hottest MILF are obviously Latinas, and, people applaud or whatever. And I'm like, because they're 18. And we did it, and I'm like, where are my MILFs at? And no one clapped. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This doesn't feel good anymore. Now this feels more like a meeting, and it's not very good. So
know.
stand-ups must encounter that all the time.
Well, that's why I love New York comedy the most, because there's just such diversity in the crowd. You got genuine Latino and black people. You know, just like the city is just such an organic mixture of people. And L.A., I don't always feel like that in L.A.
Right. No, L.A., you were talking about it a little at the beginning of this with Chris. L.A. is the word, like where to tape your special. It's like L.A., the store is getting good crowds, though, don't you think? But L.A. is tough.
Yeah, L.A. is tough, and I think I might be crazy shooting my special in L.A. I mean, these crowds are so hot in Portland. I was thinking maybe I should have shot it here, but
right.
But I'm really excited. And if you want to come down, we're trying to sell out 2 shows on Sunday night, the 5th of February, in the original room, which is the best room to play in. And I'm going to have a couple hotshot friends stop by and do sets, so it's going to be fun.
Oh, good.
And get your tickets at fitzdog.com. Tell your friends. Let's fill it up. This is a huge night for me. This is my comeback special, Mike. I haven't done a special in like 7 or 8 years.
I wouldn't call it a comeback, as LL says. Have you landed on a name? Are we allowed to talk about this?
I had some ideas.
I gave you some ideas.
Oh yeah, you gave me some good ideas. What were they?
You Don't Know Me,
You Don't Know Me.
which
is good.
because we're trying to tap into your material, and I love that bit you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And then the other one was the $2. Well, I said the $1 stand-up special.
And then people pay on the YouTube. I also need a set design. Like right now, we've got the Comedy Store logo. We're gonna hang it behind the stage. We got some vertical lights that are gonna shoot straight up, and then we've got a black curtain. But I think I want to put something on stage. What should I put on stage with me? Oh, a black person.
Why don't you put a Kardashian?
Yeah.
I think you'll get a lot more views.
Yes.
You know, this may not be true, but I kind of think it is. I kind of know it is, but I'm just going to say for safety that maybe this is true. But I think it was Gerard Carmichael did his special at the store. And
He did in the original room where I'm doing mine.
did Bo Burnham direct maybe?
I think so. Yes.
And the curtain behind him was a little open, and in a huge part of the budget went frame by frame closing that curtain in post.
Really?
Yep, it was weird. I heard that. Yeah, something was off. They didn't like it. And I think I might have heard that from a manager. Anyway, so I don't know why they did that. I like Chappelle did a special there, and it was just there's the Comedy Store curtain. No big deal.
Right. I think Chappelle did his in the main room, and I'm doing mine in the. I wanted the intimacy of the original room.
No, I like the original room.
Yeah.
You can still see outside, right?
Yeah, you can still see outside.
That's always kind of a cool, but it's not behind the stage. So that I think that's a cool part of that room too.
The logo.
You
this
know,
week,
and an interesting open. Not that I'm directing this, would be a shot of L.A. and you pull all the way back and get to you. You know what I mean? Like you pull back into the room.
through the window.
Yeah, like you're looking at the camera's looking out the window, which you wouldn't know. You get, a nice clean shot, and then it pulls back. You could even do something fancier where it really does start outside. You come up, and you'd have to pre-shoot that. And then the camera pulls all the way back to, your main camera in the back of the room.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
It establishes LA, it establishes the energy in the room and all that stuff.
Right.
All right, I'll direct. What?
From Craig Godet. Craig Godet gave us this beautiful shot. It looks like awkward family photos type of shot.
Now, so I wasn't going to say anything. I think we've used that logo.
Nope. We never used it.
Is that the confidence we were referring to the other week? The unyielding confidence?
Yeah. Now we've used a lot of Craig Godet's stuff. He's one of our most prominent logo designers. He does a lot of good ones, and he's done other ones. Maybe that's what you're confusing it with.
I'm gonna tee up next week's first correction. I'm gonna say Craig Godet sent us a new logo, and look at it, and we've never used it before. And next week in corrections, the first letter will be from Craig himself. You used my logo again.
What about the song? Mac Bowman's song is kick ass.
Very cool.
Good editing. Nice
Thank you,
sound.
Mac. Yeah. Thank
Corrections.
you, Craig and Mac.
Let's get to those corrections you speak of, Mike Gibbons.
All right. There's
your
hardly
middle
ever
name?
any.
What's your middle name?
It's called, I don't want to give away my identity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's not do it. I don't have one.
And what's your mother's maiden name?
Oh, no.
This is from Rick Schwartz. Speaking of which, on a recent Sunday Papers, Mike used the word nonplussed incorrectly, as if to mean not impressed. That's actually the opposite of its meaning. Nonplussed comes from the Latin no more, meaning bewildered or puzzled, just trying to enlighten.
He's right. I gave up on that word. I'm surprised I used it. But I might have looked nonplussed. So do you know the confusion with this word?
No.
So I think the most common mistake is probably the one he's saying I made, which is that nonplussed means you can't be bothered because you're expressionless.
Yeah.
This is where it gets confusing. The true meaning, I believe, is when you're nonplussed, you are so baffled and lost that you look expressionless.
Okay.
So, so you can look the same for either emotion. Anyway,
So if you're plussed,
if you're plussed,
Then
if you're
you're-
plussed one, at an event.
Nate S says, I know Mike is not the biggest fan
Oh,
of
Jesus,
him
me
or
again?
Goodwill Hunting, but it was Matt Damon, not Jude Law, who played the talented Mr. Ripley. Jude Law was in the movie, but played the friend that Ripley lied to and stole the identity of.
That works. He's totally right because
We got a bunch of those. A bunch of people pointed that out.
Jude would be the one you'd really envy, you know, if you were like one of those scammers. And Jude is just so naturally, you know, a rich boy getting into clubs, playing jazz in the club, whatever was going on, you know.
Yeah. Chad Richin says, hey, Greg, can't wait to see you in Portland this weekend. I think you just said on the pod Richie Halens died with Buddy Holly. I think you're conflating singers Richie Valens and Richie Havens. I got that correction from a few people. One of them from a guy who was kind of a fucking douchebag about it
Oh,
and was like, stop pretending you know what you're talking about. I just fucked up.
what about and no conflation with Van Halen?
With Van Halen, right.
I don't know if conflating. You know, we
Yeah.
got a correction once on the word conflate. Anyway.
Triple H says the Backstreet Boys album Millennium is the biggest boy band album with every song being a hit, over 24 million sold. Holy shit, Greg was right. Elvis didn't fuck the nun, Mary Tyler Moore, her being the one lead in a movie with him that didn't have sex with each other. Okay.
Is Triple H a wrestler? What kind of name is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a woman and she's got gigantic tits.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Well, that could also be a wrestler.
Tour dates coming up. I'll be in La Jolla in San Diego at the store on February 2nd, running the special for the last time. Come out and see it.
Nice.
Also, Helium in Philly on March 9th through the 11th. And then we're going to be at the Improv in L.A., me and you, for
Look at
the
that.
St. Patrick's Day show, March 17th. Boston coming up in June. And let's talk a little bit about ExpressVPN. Get it for your computer right now.
Yes.
If you don't, your computer is vulnerable. It is like the delicate skull of a new baby, and you need to put a helmet on it.
It's also not as powerful.
That's right.
You can watch shows that are available in Europe that you can watch here. Our family is thinking about going to Europe in June. I know you're going at some point. I recommend this to you. I heard a hack. You search for flights using a European address.
Yes. You can save a lot of money on flights by buying them as if you're in London or Portugal or whatever. So you can do that. And then when you're overseas, you're going to be in a lot of like networks. You're going to be on like cafes and hotels, airports. Hackers, that's where they grab you. So use your ExpressVPN. Then it pops on. For me, it turns on automatically, but I think you might have to push a button. It depends on, but it works on your phone, your tablet, your computer. These hackers make like $1,000 per person selling personal info on the web. So they are highly motivated. The encrypted tunnel creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. Hackers can't steal your sensitive data. It would take 1 billion years to get past their encryption. Fire up the app, click one button, and get started. So, I love it. I watch shows that I set from England. I watch some crime shows that are not available here. It's important because you hear about people losing everything. Secure your online
it's
data
terrible.
today by visiting expressvpn.com/papers. That's expressvpn.com/papers, and you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/papers. Okay. You got a paper?
I don't.
I got nuts.
All right, yeah, let's do it. Why don't you just hold your nuts and caress them?
I'm squeezing and caressing my nuts.
Yeah, and then we'll be good.
Extra! Extra! Read all about it! Extra!
Tesla's autopilot and full self-driving systems have a safety feature that warns drivers to keep their hands on the wheel at all times. But some drivers have been able to go hands-free with various tricks, including strapping ankle weights to the steering wheel so as to kick back and do whatever.
I don't get this. What's the full self-driving benefit if you have to keep your hands on the wheel?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this is kind of the way Elon Musk treats his wife and children. Like, kind of put your hands on the wheel once in a while, but really, you're not paying attention.
Maybe this is how the guy steered his family off of the PCH and went down 200 feet down the cliff.
Right. Yeah. And
you're supposed to equally distribute the ankle weights.
Yeah. I just love if you get pulled over for drunk driving, you'd be like, officer, I was not driving. It was the car. I tried to talk to him. He called me a pussy.
Oh, that's what I've always thought is like if you're driving home and get pulled over for a DUI, you'd be like, yeah, the car doesn't drink. Like you're just slurring. Why are you even talking to me?
Yeah.
Just wait till the airbag, the first accident where the airbag smashes those ankle weights into your stupid face.
Yeah.
Because they're wrapped around the wheel.
Right. It is the wrong car for a culture as lazy as America.
Oh, I know.
A McDonald's in Indiana accidentally gave a customer a bag of cash instead of his order when he went to pick up his food. The man is seen in the video pulling small plastic bags of cash out of the bag. He said he returned the money because he's a good person. Oh, my God, look at that, an employee said. I really want to give you a hug. The man said the employees rewarded him for returning the cash by giving him $200 in free McDonald's food for a month. 3 weeks later, the man died from diarrhea.
Yes, hi. I'll have one of your Happy Steals, please. Oh, punny. Listen, even if they were giving out bags of cash, truly bags of cash, I don't think I would go to the McDonald's on Lincoln here in Santa Monica.
Do you know?
It is so sketchy.
Do you know that I go to the McDonald's on Lincoln every Saturday before we tape Sunday Papers? I get up, I go to the drive-thru, and I get Egg McMuffin and hash browns, and I eat it on the way to my office.
This is the weirdest brag or whatever share I've ever heard. Why?
I don't know. It's like my guilty pleasure. I know it's bad, and I feel bad doing it, and then I eat it, and then I crash, and I think, why do I do that? But I do it every week.
And, you know, there's a drive-thru at that Starbucks.
Ugh.
But the Starbucks, I'm going to say, is arguably less healthy. I told you, I think I even said this on the podcast, but I drive around, and if a baby, when my kids were really young, was asleep in the back, you know, you're not waking that fucking thing. And so I couldn't leave the car. So those are the only times I've ever been to that Starbucks drive-thru, which is so much longer than just going in. And so what happens is you have to watch one obese arm after the next come out of like a minivan or giant SUV and grab their fucking milkshakes.
Yeah.
Which have like caramel all over them and fat. It's a Dairy Queen.
I know, and you see the back of the minivan has the drawings of each kid, and they can't even fit in the windshield. The windshield's not big enough.
Just the kids. The parents are have wrapped around the side of the minivan. It's ridiculous. All right, speaking of SUVs, Virginia woman rolls her husband over 39 times with her SUV after catching him cheating. this story was a fantastic read. Around 8:30 p.m. Friday night, a caller reported a road rage incident in the Lakeside neighborhood of Richmond. When the cops arrived at the scene, they witnessed a Ford Escape going back and forth violently. They soon became aware of a man who was lifeless on the ground beneath the SUV. Lieutenant Craig Smith reported that Samantha Warrens, 28, was furious and yelled insults while she was being taken into custody. Quote, the officers were trying to read her rights to her, but she kept yelling at the inanimate husband and telling him to go to hell. According to Lieutenant Smith, at this point, Miss Warren's grandmother emerged out of the home in her underwear and told the officers, yeah, I know, just when this crime scene couldn't get uglier, she emerged in her underwear and told the officers that the young woman had caught her husband and she nude together and in bed when she arrived home from work earlier than normal.
Wow.
So I looked at the comments and there were a bazillion of them, but two that made it very close to the top were, y'all are liars on here. You know, if you caught your man in bed with your grandmother, you'd go ham. that was one.
Go ham. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, no, I can't make it up.
That's a Theo Vonism.
And then another one was, unless she suffered from dementia, that grandma knew what she was doing.
Although, how hot and sexy would it be to have sex with somebody with dementia? Because, you know, you talk about letting go into a good fantasy. That's what sex is all about. She's believing that it's World War II. She's a medic. You're on the battlefield. There's gunshots going overhead.
And apparently your fantasy of having sex with a woman with dementia. Let's not leave that one out. What about this woman's poor mom? She's totally left out.
I know. Skipped a generation.
Maybe the mom's in prison for running over her husband who slept with her mom before she was a grandma.
Yeah, I mean, look, how is laughter not your reaction to this? You come home and you catch your husband in bed with your grandmother. You just got to go, life is funny, isn't it? You know, let the old lady have a little fun on the way. It's not like it's going to be a long-standing affair. She's going to be dead soon.
If you don't think Tyler Perry is making them all black and turning this into Medea's next movie, you're crazy. All right, this one I found. A gun goes off during an MRI. Did you find this or did I find it? Did I cut it down? All right, I cut it down. Go for it.
No, you found it, didn't you?
Oh, okay. A gun goes off during an MRI, injuring the patient's son. According to reports from CNN Brazil, a 40-year-old man was accompanying his mother to her MRI exam when the magnet caused a gun secured on his waist to fire, shooting him in the abdomen. He remains hospitalized in serious condition. Both the victim and his mother had been informed of metallic contraindications and were instructed to leave any metal objects outside the MRI suite prior to entering. Can you imagine the mom in the MRI tube? You know, because, you know, it makes that noise like bong, bong, bong. And all of a sudden it's like bong, bong, bang. Bong, bong. You're like, what was that? And then you're left in there 2 hours as they're tending to your bleeding son.
Right. And the doctor, I'll tell you, the doctors operating on the gunman took 3 hours on what would be a 1 hour procedure. They were not going to fuck up with this guy. No, they know. They should make all metal detectors out of MRIs. No one would ever try to smuggle a gun anywhere ever again. I know, that's crazy. I can't believe it made it fucking shoot. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how it made it shoot. I know it's a very serious issue if there's metal, you know, in there and stuff. I mean, they ask you about dental, you know, any metal dental work, all that stuff. It's M. It's right there in the name. It's the M. It's magnetic.
Former President Donald Trump will regain access to his Facebook and Instagram accounts in the coming weeks. Trump was indefinitely suspended following the January 6th riot In a statement, Meta determined that maintaining the ban on Trump would be impractical and detrimental to free speech. As a general rule, we don't want to get in the way of open, public, and democratic debate on Meta's platform. The public should be able to hear what politicians are saying, the good, bad, and the ugly, and they can make informed choices at the ballot box. Meta determined Trump's risk of inciting future political violence had significantly receded. So the bad news is Trump is back on Facebook. The good news is nobody cares.
Yeah. Well, George Santos is the one, I don't know if you know this, that let Trump back on Facebook because he created Facebook at Harvard.
At Harvard? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And was
He lied. He lied about Barack or whatever the other college was.
Right.
He lied about that when he admitted he lied. And how could he have been there? Because he was stealing the Facebook idea from the twins at Harvard.
The twins, the Winklevosses. Yeah.
Actually, he's a Winklevoss.
He's the triplets.
They're triplets.
They were triplets.
They're triplets.
Yeah,
He's
right.
and he rode crew in drag.
He was the coxswain, but he also used an oar. He's the only coxswain to use an oar in the history of Harvard. So let me get this straight. A politician nobody cares about is allowed back on a platform nobody cares about to talk about legal cases against him nobody cares about. Welcome to Sunday Papers.
Yeah. And all of that not caring about, and he will be in the White House in 2 years.
Do you think so? Did you
all
predict
right,
that for our predictions?
I don't think I did. I can't believe he's still
Oh, wait,
going.
you're freezing.
Oh, I am?
Oh, I think it's me. It
Can
just
you-
said my internet is unstable. So,
Yeah.
hope for the best. Denman, how's it look to you? Let us know.
Everything's unstable about your situation.
All right, speaking of unstable, good news for Gubbins.
All right.
Can you and I should point out that Blondie and Hager, the two women that showed up to my show, were split in a heated discussion about whether Gubbins should be allowed on the show. One of them felt like, he's earned his way on. She's fascinated, and the other one felt like she feels like it's better to be a mystery. So this Erin Blah says, "Can you guys please lessen the Gubbins talk? I have no idea who this guy is and severely don't care.
Interesting.
Sounds like a
word.
trust fund entitled loser." Oh.
No, he's not. Not the
Who
first
has-
part.
Who has time to play golf and get in fights? He makes time.
Come to L.A. You'll see a lot of them.
Love you guys. Hate the Gubbins stories. Make it stop, please. Well,
It's so boring, but yet he wrote me an apology last night for his behavior. We played yesterday morning, and I hit like a breakfast ball, and then I hit another one. and it
breakfast
was
ball is
good.
when you hit a second shot, the second ball.
Mulligan. So I went over and I did have a shot. I did somehow. I would have had whatever. Anyway, I pick it up. I go play my mulligan, whatever. He does the same thing. He plays both his balls and he calls an air Murphy, which is anyway. He calls like, I'm going to make the next shot while it's in the air, and I'm like, well, which one are you playing? He got furious.
Yeah.
Anyway, that story wasn't worth telling. But the new and improved Gubbins wrote me an apology last night.
Really?
Yes. It was very.
Wow.
He didn't need to. We repaired and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't think the edibles had kicked
he's
in
a little
yet.
more stressed than normal. His father's sick in the hospital, and they're keeping him for another week. So I
Yeah.
think he's a little riled up. But I think we're gonna play with him on Monday, right?
Yeah. So get ready, Erin Blah, if that's your real name. We'll have more boring Gubbins stories next week.
Yeah. Let's get to entertainment.
Sure.
This paper isn't crinkling very loud. Let me get a better piece
No.
of paper.
I have a plastic bag. Do you think that'll work? Oh yeah. Listen to that.
Good.
All right.
Adam Lambert has responded to rumors that Theo James is being eyed to portray George Michael in a new biopic. James, who is best known for his turn in The White Lotus, recently revealed he'd be up for playing gay pop star Michael, but hitmaker Lambert isn't pleased. In response to James' potential casting, he said, "Yay, Another straight man playing a gay icon. So gay to say yay like that. And people
Yeah, I
have
don't think he was being sarcastic.
And people have mixed feelings about the American Idol's take. Well, I think, is it the take, can he sing? Should we factor in, can he sing?
Yeah. And
I
can
think
he
I think
act
Lambert is
gay?
too I think Lambert is too gay for the role because, George Michael didn't come off as like flaming, and this guy Adam Lambert is flaming.
When you look back, he seemed pretty flaming.
George
It's funny.
Michael?
I went and I asked my mom. So my mom was born in 44. So that means she was 30 in 1974, right? So I asked her about the Village People. She's in her 30s when the Village People are out. I'm like, did you? And she's street smart, grew up in the Bronx, right? And by the way, the voguing and everything, I'm not saying my mom was in basements in Harlem voguing, but I'm just saying it was all around. I mean, this was the Bronx. It was New York. It was even then a mecca for gays to go to because it was one of the only oases, if you will. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. She's like, no idea. No idea they were gay.
No. Nobody knew Liberace was gay.
It's insane.
Yeah, Liberace was quietly just a flamboyant, straight. Elton John. People didn't talk about him being gay. He sang about me and Judy had so much fun. Not Judy. What was it?
It doesn't even matter. Do not get me talking about lyrics
Right.
that Elton John sang somehow miraculously.
And also, how about like Neil Patrick Harris played a straight guy in How I Met Your Mother? Well,
he got killed for
he
it.
was also playing a funny guy in How I Met Your Mother, so he was lying on a couple fronts.
Oh no, he also played a straight guy in that movie. What's that movie with Ben Affleck? And he gets killed while having sex with her. Spoiler.
Really?
Gone Girl or something, I think. Yeah.
All right, how about Jim Parsons in Big Bang Theory, who's gay, playing a straight guy, again, a funny guy. Cynthia Nixon in Sex and the City, who's all about her sexuality. Kristen Stewart, she's bi. That's the key. You got to come out as bi in Hollywood if you really want to work.
How about Big Bang Theory pretending to be a sitcom? No one's flagging that?
Yeah.
Here's the sneaky thing about the play Hamilton. I mean, Hamilton, we all know they're black actors playing the white founding fathers. So everyone's focused on that. But most of that cast was gay. How inaccurate is that? The founding fathers weren't sleeping with their female slaves.
Yeah.
I mean, they were. These guys weren't.
Right. Yeah. How about what's her name getting hired to play an ugly actress, an ugly hooker in Monster? Charlize Theron. There's so many ugly actresses that could have played that role, but she uglied herself down. That's not fair. They can't pretty themselves up.
I know. I don't know where the line's drawn. This will sound really crude, but let's say it's a movie about a character like with autism, right? And I guess you'll get in trouble, right? Someone did get in trouble for casting people who aren't really autistic. Well, how about this? Have an autistic person write the script.
Ooh. That might be interesting.
No, but I mean, where does it end?
I know I'm friends with some actresses that have intellectual disabilities from working with Best Buddies. And one of them, Jamie Brewster, just emailed me a couple days ago. She works. I looked up her IMDb. She works. She literally is in major projects every year. It's unbelievable. It's so fucking cool. And she's amazing. She's so good in it.
Well, I had an idea for whatever. I think I've shared it with you. Anyway, I have this movie idea. It came kind of out of a sitcom I did. And then I thought it really would work for many reasons, many creative reasons, if the lead was this black woman, right? And people are like, you can't do that. And it was advice from friends, you're not going to get a second meeting. In other words, you're writing for a black woman. I'm like, you know, the black woman's make believe, right? Like, this is just like if it was a white woman or a white man or a Mexican man.
Right.
It's a made up thing. And I know it's the voice and getting it and all that, but then it's like, well, they're talking to me about writing. So if it was about mentally challenged and mentally handicapped people, am I not allowed to write that? Where is the line drawn?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, here's the problem. If I make my mentally challenged characters black, forget it. Can't do that. They have to be
Yeah.
white mentally challenged characters and male.
Right.
Boring.
Here's something up those lines. LGBTQ activist group Transcultural Mindfulness Alliance is apparently singing a different tune after receiving
Sounds
massive
like a
backlash
band.
for requesting the removal of Aretha Franklin's hit song "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman" on music platforms. The Twitter post read, quote, Aretha Franklin's 1968 song "Natural Woman" perpetuates multiple harmful anti-trans stereotypes. There is no such thing as a natural woman. This song has helped inspire acts of harm against transgender women. TCMA is requesting it is removed from Spotify and Apple Music. Okay, so meanwhile, she's fine with the Ramones' Beat on the Brat with a baseball bat, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC, Anything by Eminem,
Yeah.
Hit Me With Your Best Shot.
Yeah, you also put the Beatles in there?
Oh, and yeah, that song, Little Girl.
What do they mean there's no such thing as a nat? I mean, it's all these definitions. By the way, isn't it about identifying and feeling like a natural woman? Wasn't that the whole, like, what
yeah, you
woman,
make me feel
what
like a natural woman.
trans or not, wouldn't want to feel and identify as a natural woman?
Yeah.
Now, that was me just trying to be PC. But when you listen to the song and she's like, oh, baby, what you've done to me, you make me feel so good inside. She's talking about her natural pussy. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know about those.
And those exist.
Yeah, I don't know about those refurbished ones. I don't know what they're like. I'll never know.
All right. Marie Kondo, remember her?
Yeah.
She's
Of
given
course.
up on being tidy. And she was in an interview this week, I think it was the Washington Post, and she said, my home is messy. Meanwhile, like 500,000 people are like, what did she say? I threw out half my shit.
Yeah.
The 38-year-old organizational guru who gave birth to her third child last year is known for the Netflix series Tidying Up, where she instructs eager cleaners to keep what, quote, sparks joy and then trash the rest. But Marie just had her third kid and says, I've kind of given up on that in a good way for me, she added. Now
Yeah.
I realize what is important to me is enjoying time with my children at home. So what she did is she hugged all three children and she threw out two of them.
Joke of the day. Joke of the day.
All right.
This is like Tony Robbins telling us all to just relax and accept ourselves, or Oprah gaining 150 pounds after all of her diet advice.
You can't bait and switch like this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
A man was shot dead by his dog over the weekend in Kansas. The incident took place in Guada Springs. The victim was sitting in the front passenger seat of his pickup truck while his hunting gear and rifle were slung in the back seat. A canine belonging to the owner stepped on the rifle, causing it to discharge. The fired round struck the passenger, who died of injuries on the scene. The dog then tried to turn the dog then tried to turn the gun on himself, but instead just licked his own balls.
Oh my God. The dog, by the way, the quote, stepped on the gun, like accidentally, sounds like the dog has already gotten a good lawyer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And by the way, Good luck finding a home for this asshole dog. Why does he need a home? Well, he shot the last guy. I'm good. I'm good.
You know what? We'll take him. We don't have any guns in the house. You come down early in the morning. The dog has the knife drawer open in the kitchen. What the fuck is up with this thing?
Like a Far Side cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, which I forgot to look one up. Actually, the problem, they revisited the crime scene. The problem was the dog carried the gun into his owner's MRI. That was what happened.
I'm telling Chris to grab a cartoon.
Grab any Far Side. You can't grab a bad one.
On Thursday,
Please.
Jay Leno, 72. Did you know Jay Leno was 72 years old?
That makes sense. Wait, did you see? I don't know if I sent it to you. Hold on. Whoa. All right, keep reading. I found this wild age concept thing online. Go ahead.
He revealed that he's on the mend after a January 17th motorcycle accident that broke several bones in his body. Leno said, after getting burned up, you remember he got lit on fire about a month ago?
Of course. Yes.
You get that one for free. After that, you're Harrison Ford, crashing airplanes. You just want to keep your head down. Well, at least Jay has kept his razor sense of humor about the whole thing.
Good.
Oh, at least Jay kept his razor sharp sense of humor still intact.
Well, I'm going to go a little inside baseball. I think I'm allowed to say this. I want to. A good friend of ours, we won't name him, was a WGA, which is a writers guild. It's the union writer, and Jay is a giant in the union. I mean, he employed people and a big supporter, and he's in it himself, and all his shows he does are WGA. And all of a sudden, no residual checks came in when they kept repeating the shows. And the show, now I don't know who, it's probably the production company, but basically they were told, we're not going to pay them, which is against the, quote, law. It's against this contract. And I mean, I think I know what I'm talking about when I say, and Jay has not stood up. Jay has not gotten involved, and the writers, who need, and by the way, Jay, of all people now, should realize the value of health insurance, which we get through our union. So anyway, something,
so you're
most of
calling
what
out
I said,
Jay Leno.
I am calling out, I'm not saying Jay Leno's the one that made a decision not to pay, but Jay Leno certainly could make them pay.
And these are residuals from The Tonight Show?
No, from his most recent show, the one that just got canceled, The Garage.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Come on,
yeah,
Jay.
I believe it's The Garage, but it's his most recent show. So there's that. What did this person recommend?
Greg Melitzoff said, I'd recommend checking out the first season of Roadies on Hulu. It's a Cameron Crowe production about a touring road crew. Lots of cameos. And it's an easy watch. Okay, that sounds cool.
I'd like that.
I'm up for I need a new series right now. I'm just finishing Atlanta, the newest season.
All right.
It's art. It's fucking art.
Did you get to the one where they go to the sound stages and she brings her daughter and she has a bit part?
Yes.
Dude. That was really interesting.
I actually thought when you did that joke before about Tyler Perry, it made me think of that episode.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder, I want to Google, did Tyler Perry or anyone who worked with him have any reaction to that?
Yeah, it was a pretty bad depiction of Tyler Perry.
Oh, awful, but also the most interesting to me, speaking of exactly what we just talked about with Jay, is just the exploitation of all the employees. Because you have to understand, let's say you're a listener right now and you're like, I don't get unions. Why can't it just be a fair market? You get your fair market value, supply and demand and all this. Because it doesn't, any show I worked on recently, I could have gotten paid to hire people. I could have said to writers in Los Angeles and all over the country, how much will you pay me to be one of the first writers on James Corden's show that's launching on CBS after Letterman? You know what I mean? I could have been paid, and that's illegal, and it's
Wait,
not
I don't
right.
understand what you're saying.
Well, we're talking about unions and exploiting workers. And one of the things the Atlanta episode did, I don't know if you know, is like, oh, I'm a security guard, but I'm also a PA. I think that was
Right.
one of the lines. And
Yeah.
everyone was working like multiple jobs and was being worked to death. And it sounded very much like Harpo, which is Oprah's company, where I've had friends there. And he's like, it was like the most depressing place ever. No one had healthy home lives. No one had.
Oh,
no one was
people
healthy.
had cots. People had cots in their offices because they had to stay there so many nights.
And it's a cult of celebrity that's up top, and then they just exploit them. And there's no protections, and you're so part of this system that you allow yourself to be exploited. And of course, one's in Atlanta, one's in Chicago. It's not like there's a lot of other competition there. Anyway,
Right.
All right. So, Chris Minotti's not seeing any Tyler Perry reactions. But I wonder if people are like, shit, like I worked there. That's pretty accurate,
But it's interesting
Anyway,
because I mean, here they are shooting a show in Atlanta where Tyler Perry is.
I know.
It's they're very black positive, and now you've got them shitting on this black icon mogul.
Right. And his
They
name
go-
was Mr. Chocolate. Yeah. I
Yeah.
wonder. I know. And I want to know, like, that's a ballsy move.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. Donald Glover does not give two shits.
I know. All right. Here's the age thing. You said Jay Leno was 72. You ready? Okay. The difference between the year 2023 and 1980 is the same as the difference between 1980 and 1937.
Damn.
That's
No, it's
super
not.
fucked up. It
Oh,
is.
Yeah, I guess it is.
And everyone
Wow.
says that. So did I. I thought they forgot 10 years. And they didn't know. I literally did the math also.
Shit, what happened, man? What did we do?
We were not
want-
young in 1980. I mean,
No.
yes, 13
And-
years old, but we were not like in a crib. We were aware.
Shit.
We were fucking, already derelicts in, 6th, 7th grade. or
Between
whatever we were.
1938 and 1980, there were World War, Korea, Vietnam, and what do we have? The Gulf War and Afghanistan.
Oh, 1937. I mean,
That was the Depression.
when were refrigerators in homes?
I don't know.
They had ice boxes. They must have had a
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no air conditioning though, right?
But people were so poor. It was like the height of the Depression.
I think it was very rare if you had a home phone, very rare,
Yeah.
and it was probably a party line. I mean,
Yeah, my
what
mother was born in 42, and in her neighborhood, like one person had a phone, and people used to go to that house and use the phone.
Chris, when was the first like commercially popular transatlantic flight?
You mean cross-dressing people flying across the Atlantic?
Yes, when you have them, they had their own section.
1913 invented refrigerators. 1930s became common with Freon.
I know, but remember the honeymooners and like they had an ice box.
Yeah.
You also had icemen,
The
literally like
Iceman
milkmen.
cometh,
Yes,
right?
with those giant tongs that would come by. This is what we're talking about. It's insane.
Yeah, I know.
That blew my mind. I mean, normally those things are like, and I did freak out when I saw the age of the traveling Wilburys because I thought they were crazy.
1919, first transatlantic flight.
I know, but that's the first transatlantic flight. I'm talking about like when was Pan Am like flying, a whole plane full of rich people to London.
All right, let's get back to
Anyway,
this.
I cannot get over this.
Make
statistic.
America
I'm sorry.
Florida. Give me a crackle.
Here it goes.
Crinkle. Crackle
Florida
is the
man-
bonfire.
A Florida man entered the Publix in Miami when he, hold on, 1938. See, I'm not going to get over it. Public flight. So there was not even a public flight to Europe in the year we're talking about 37.
Wow.
Okay. A Florida man entered a Publix in Miami when he handed an employee a note that said he had a gun and to put money in a bag. He should have just gone to McDonald's.
Right.
After
They're handing
reading
it out.
After reading the note, the worker pretended to help another employee, very suspicious, and called for help. Police said Abbott left empty-handed and was arrested while throwing his note away. He doesn't sound like the type that would, I'm sure it was just on the street. As it turns out, the so-called gun Abbott claimed to have was actually just a black stapler. Abbott was arrested on charge of armed robbery. According to police, he was already out on bond, okay, after he dropped a 4-month-old at a Miami Walmart multiple times.
Multiple times.
What?
Yes.
All right, here's the sunny side in Florida of the story. It sounds like this guy's improving. Your Honor, my client has gone from dropping babies to passing notes in Publix. Also, the stapler was not loaded.
Yeah, the officers used the weapon to attach his multiple arrest sheets together.
If only the guy walked into the MRI with a stapler, I think it would have been uneventful, hopefully.
All right, let's get to
Florida.
sports.
Here we go. Sports. Yes.
All right, so the Tampa Bay bet is over. They've been knocked out, and the bet has been paid. I handed Mike $550 in cash 2 days ago.
Which you did
And
not
then-
have to do, but then I thought you might have had to have done that. Is it because Erin doesn't know about this?
Oh, no, Aaron knows.
Oh, she does.
I have no secrets from Aaron. She knows about my betting.
Because a friend of ours who will go nameless, when we did that over-under bet with March Madness, 100 a game, usually it's even, and I know I've talked a lot about it, but anyway, that first year that this guy called me out, called me a pussy for not doing it, and finally I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And I took all the unders. He owed me $1,100, and because his wife could not know, he had to pay me $100 a week for 11 weeks.
Damn. What are you going to do with the money you won off of me?
I'm going to let it ride. I'm going to bet everything against Philadelphia, those fucks.
Really?
No, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But it's nice to get because I'm not a good gambler, so I feel like I've made. Well, put it this way: I lost $400 to you, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm only up $150, really.
So we got the games this weekend: San Francisco and Philly. I predict Philly will win, and I predict that Dennis is going to lose his fucking mind.
Chris, I know we're assigning you a lot of shit today, and I know you have all your Antifa updates, but what are the spreads in these two games?
Cincinnati and Kansas City is going to be a fucking monster game. That's going to be. They're both going to be great games. I mean, you have four amazing teams, four amazing quarterbacks. Couple new, couple old.
I don't care who's in the Super Bowl as long as Philly is not in there. And it's not because the team. I don't like the people. I don't like the fans.
Well, the Bengals are giving 1.5 points to the Chiefs.
Both of these are close.
And the Eagles are giving 2.5 points to the 49ers.
Bengals are favored. Interesting. Yeah, I saw that Mahomes injury. I think he should have sat out, but they won the game. Anyway, whatever.
What are we going to do about Mary Fitzgerald invited us all over for a party to hang out with her sister Diane, but she's doing it during the games. 1 o'clock on Sunday.
I love it. Why not?
Because I want to watch the games. I don't want to fucking chit-chat.
I can't watch up. I mean, you don't catch up on DVR?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Okay, there's also, we got to remember to go record, I guess, but Djokovic made it to the finals, which is pretty big news. I think he's won 8 or 9. Australian Open's the most ever by anyone.
He's won 9. This will be
and
his
he
10th.
was kept out because he was unvaccinated for 2 years? I mean, that's a year in a tennis player's career is so valuable.
Well, especially when you're in your mid-30s, which Djokovic is.
And he's chasing the all-time record of Masters.
Well, how many Grand Slams does he have?
Grands.
Because right now Nadal has, I think, 21. I think Djokovic might have 20.
I lost count. I'm just so glad Sampras is
Denman, will you
further
look
down the
that
list.
up? Who, the leaders.
Sampras was great. Don't get me wrong, but he was boring and he had no rival.
Sampras? I know. That was
Yeah.
a snore fest. I hated Sampras.
He
no
was so
emotions
good,
whatsoever.
and he just ended the points immediately.
Yeah, he was a boring player to watch. I'm glad
Yeah.
that era is over. These three guys are so much more exciting.
Oh
Watching
my God, yes.
Federer and Djokovic and Nadal. This has been a good run with these guys.
Sampras was like a robot. He didn't even look like athletic. Like you see these guys on a hard court, they will run so fast and then slide as if it's clay.
Yeah. I know.
That shit was not happening in 1937, I'll tell you that.
Right. All right, here we go. Nadal has 22.
Here it is.
Djokovic has 21, and Federer has 20. So Djokovic could is it Djokovic or Djokovic? I think
Djokovic. I think it's
so. Djokovic could
Either one.
He could tie it if he wins this. That's huge.
Oh my God! And I don't know anything about this guy Stefanos, and last name you can't even pronounce. Sounds Greek. I hope he's not played by a straight guy. Sampras is down at 14. I remember when 14 was the most, obviously, because look at these guys.
Damn.
I mean, Borg was probably at 12 or 11. I mean, he had 5 French, I think. Or no. Yeah, I think Borg had 5 French and 3 Wimbledon or something. Borg has 11. Look at me. Come on, I used to follow sports. Nadal's my favorite. Who's your favorite?
Nadal. Love him.
And I also I really like Federer.
Yeah, Federer's great. Federer's
You should go. Anyone who maybe is too young, but it wasn't that long ago. Probably 7 or 8 years ago, there was a Australian final. I think it was between Djokovic and what's his name, who we just from Spain. Chris just erased it. Anyway,
Nadal?
it was the most Nadal. It was a marathon match. It was so long and crazy, and the 5th set went on forever. It went on forever. And so then they came out to do the award ceremony. You could Google this or you just YouTube it. And they were talking so long that they had to lean against the fence, and then their legs started to cramp up. And and then someone finally ran chairs out, and it got a standing ovation. It was so obvious they were about to
Really?
pass out. And the match was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Federer.
Well over 5 hours.
I've heard Federer talked about as the best technician, that he just has the fullest, most complete game all around, that he's maybe the greatest athlete to ever play the game. Whereas Sampras just has heart. He just he's famously never gives up on a point.
Sampras.
Not Sampras.
Nadal.
Nadal.
Yeah.
Nadal never gives up on a point. Fights for everything, which is why he's so hard to play against.
What I loved, and maybe it's an act, but I don't believe it, is all 3 of them set a new bar for good sportsmanship when
Yes.
interviewed after the match. And I do think some of it was natural because they had so much respect for their opponent.
Right. All right, let's get to international.
Oh, here it comes.
So I guess we're considering this international, but it is Canada. A Canadian woman who caused $10 million in damages after driving drunk crashed into a house, causing an explosion, is now suing the concert venue that provided her alcoholic beverages. This sounds like Tom O'Neill saying that he was overserved.
All right.
Every time Tom gets in trouble, he said he
All
was
right, hold on.
overserved.
Oh, I know. This becomes like it's like make America Canada again.
Yeah.
This story is unbelievable. God.
The car bomb fiasco occurred in 2019 when Daniela Lease, 26, was driving home from a Marilyn Manson concert at the Budweiser Gardens Arena in London, Ontario. What could go wrong? After drinking at the show and getting behind the wheel, she crashed her Ford Fusion into a brick home, rupturing a gas
worse.
line and triggering a massive explosion that destroyed 4 houses, injured 7 people, and caused $14.7 million in damages. I mean, look, in the venue's defense, they're called Budweiser Gardens. They're going to fill you up with Budweiser before you go home.
Yes, exactly. Even if everything went flawlessly and she took an Uber that night, it's still a disaster having seen Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to see, that's a pretty metal way to end your Marilyn Manson concert.
Police immediately knew she was impaired, but forget the explosions. They're like, and where are you coming from? Oh, Marilyn Manson in 2019. Oh, okay. Get out of the car and put your hands on the hood.
Yeah. Let's do Harry.
What do we want to do?
Prince Harry recently
I did not see this. Yeah.
He made a guest appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert to promote his memoir, Spare. At one point during their conversation, Colbert prompted Harry to elaborate on a point he mentioned in his book in which he confessed to having a frostbitten penis during the wedding of Prince William and Princess Kate. Frost nip on a delicate part of your anatomy, Colbert continued. Can you explain how it is that the royal standard got frost nip? Why did you not take care of your royal jewels? The context of this is that you are going to the North Pole and things got very cold. At what point did you realize there was a crisis at the South Pole? That's what Colbert's writers came up with.
Yeah.
What about these jokes? Did Megan's tongue get stuck on it like Dumb and Dumber? When you came, did ice cream come out?
All right.
Was that a royal pain in the balls?
I don't think it happened in North Pole. I think it happened when he slipped it into Megan's ice cold pussy. I think that's when it happened.
Yes. All right, let's get to. Do we want to do business? We got a story.
Yeah,
about,
business. Yeah, we could do business.
Let's do Google. Google has eliminated over 1,800 jobs in its home state, California, as part of the biggest round of layoffs in company history.
Yeah.
The cuts also included 27 in-house massage therapists. Of course they have in-house masseuses. Google likes to extract your personal information. And when do you talk more than when you're being blissfully naked, having your body rubbed? So, how you like your boss?
I'm checking Craigslist for a lot of nap pods and gently used ping pong tables.
Yes.
And whatever other, and probably miniature golf.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But it is the beginning of layoff season, man. Every headline. It's like they held out, I guess, till the new year, but it's not only in tech, it's everywhere. And then, this Amazon story is sort of related. The second biggest tech company, right?
Amazon's ending its charity donation program.
You were part of that.
The move to shutter Amazon Smile comes after a series of other cost-cutting measures. Through the program, which has been in operation since 2013, Amazon donates 0.5% of eligible purchases. Remember when companies would donate 10%?
Well, wait.
10% was standard to donate to charity.
You might be right, but the way it's written, that's 0.5%. That's half of 1%.
Half of 1%, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said
they're
0.5 of 1%.
They're stopping that little bit that they were giving to charity. And their quote from their public relations is, with so many eligible organizations, more than 1 million globally, our ability to have an impact was often spread too thin, they said in a letter to customers. Fuck you.
Well, this is a way to solve that. It's not spread too thin anymore. It's non-existent. Hey, have you checked out Bezos' girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez?
I thought he was with that singer. What's her name?
Unless I'm old. No, I think this is very current. And
Okay.
she's all about the, all right, she was a newscaster, I think, here in LA. She's all about the, and she's a newscaster somewhere, all about the environment. But when you go on, it is like another disgusting model type Los Angeles woman who's talking about green initiatives as they're flying private. She once famously spent $12,000 on shoes in one afternoon in Beverly Hills.
Oh, awesome.
Fuck your environmental talk. So
Yeah.
I go online and she's walking around the Amazon. They have this new program that Amazon's hooked up. And now she's the ambassador of all this stuff for the company. And so it's weird they're cutting their charities, yet they're probably compensating by like trying to push this narrative that they're everywhere trying to save the world. So they're walking around and like, of course they tear up for like the stupidest question to someone who works at like the lumber mill in the middle of the real Amazon. And yeah, she just, this vacuous, whatever. It's just, I'm just disgusted by it.
I bought used shoes once in New York for like $20. I was broke when I
I
first
used to
moved
buy,
down to New York.
of course I bought used, everyone. I mean, if you're talking about, you go to like Salvation Army or someplace.
Yeah, I went to a thrift store and I bought used shoes. Black. They were like black work boots.
I definitely did that. Well, no, a lot of people would like try to get the old school, like old man shoes, you know, like the wingtips,
Yeah.
Florsheim's, like chunky, like really cool. That's when we were hipsters and we tried to be like old bluesmen.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people that would go to bowling alleys in shoes that they didn't want and then leave with the bowling shoes and wear those.
Yeah. Oh, Chris put a picture of her up. Look, she is the
Oh,
cheesiest.
she's gross.
The cheesiest and the most conspicuous consumption. It's all about appearance. Look at the work she's had. She was married. She was married to Patrick Weitzel, who was one of the big wigs at CAA. And I've gone out to dinner with Weitzel. He was like the best looking agent in LA. That's what he was known for. And he dated a lot of celebrity women. And anyway, I didn't know he married this train wreck. But yeah, apparently
she looks like a clay model that's melting.
And I don't know if this is true, but one thing I read about her this morning was while married to Weitzel, she met because they started to socialize with Bezos, and I think Bezos was still married, and she confided to a friend. Who knows if the friend's a liar? Probably. I doubt she has good friends. But anyway, the friend told the news that she said after meeting him, now that's a man I have to like get with or something. While married.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Whatever.
Chris wrote Steven Tyler. What does that mean?
She looks like him. She needs a couple of scarves. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's any celebrity deaths that we care about. I don't think so.
Were there? It's happening every week. It's going to happen more and more. Oh, wait. Hey, I know what I wanted to talk about up top. How about that earthquake?
I got woken. Everybody that I was just talking without my microphone. Everybody that I know in LA was woken up at 2:30 in the morning about 4 or 5 days ago. It was that hard, and it lasted for a while.
So, you know, you go on Twitter, right? And there's a thing called QuakeBot, and it's automated. And within a minute, it pops up the exact location and the Richter scale measurement. But the comments are so funny. Like, and I should have written down a bunch, but it was 2 a.m. I was jolted awake. Meanwhile, in the morning, I go to Olivia at breakfast. I'm like, you feel that earthquake? She's like, I dreamt about an earthquake. I'm like,
really?
Yeah, that's exactly was her response.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some letters to the editor.
All right, then. Hold on. All right.
This guy Converse wrote, Mike's Atlantic City story made me want to share this. My friend and I surfed there, and the last time we went, the street we parked on to scout the waves had an active crime scene with multiple squad cars. Second spot had squad cars and an ambulance with EMTs loading up a guy in a stretcher. Third and final spot had New Jersey State Troopers in full tactical gear loading up for a raid. What day of the year was this?
Yeah,
They
Jesus.
stood around shooting the shit with us as if they were just waiting to be led into the office building to their desk jobs. Donovan S. said, you guys are right about Atlantic City, but it's actually gotten worse. I know from a local cop some nights they have only 4 officers on patrol for the whole city. They are extremely understaffed. Most cops in South Jersey just sit on the side of the road and scan for expired registration and bad inspection stickers so they can bother people trying to work. They won't work in Atlantic City or Camden.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, listen, it's not a good week for police news at all. The protests are going crazy and stuff. And, you know, it's going to change law enforcement. It already has, and BLM did, and they said, you know, not enough. But here's my point: we're getting to the mechanical hounds faster than we thought. We are going to get to AI robots,
Yeah.
and they are going to have a million ways to subdue you without killing you.
Right.
Or a million ways to figure out that they don't have to subdue you, hopefully. And yeah, like that story I told about, you're not going to need real dogs, and that's ridiculous. And then running under the boardwalk, there's just going to be one of these robots out of like Boston Robotics or whatever it's called, and you don't have a chance.
No, the amount of money they have to spend to get police officers now, they're spending like 50, 60 grand just to recruit somebody, and then they're giving them big bonuses to sign up. And for that money, they're going to get robots. Plus the lawsuits they got to pay out because of human error, which is the nicest way of saying being a fucking asshole who beats up a criminal.
And then I hate to say this, especially on the heels of me talking about my union, and then the pension for life. And then the disability for life with all these police officers and stuff.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not taking a side here, but it seems like this solution is coming, and I think it's going to go that way. Now, whatever. I've been incredibly ignorant in a lot of these comments. There's so many factors here. But the New York Times this morning said there's an article where the study was it didn't seem to matter in all the data, and I'm sure the New York Times showed all their work, but I still doubt this. What do you think about this? It said after looking at all the data, that there didn't seem to be a trend of the problem being more white police officers than other races. Like, because, you know, all the police officers involved in Memphis were black, African American, right? Black. Jeez, I can't believe I just corrected myself. They were all black. And I find it hard to believe that there aren't lopsided demographics where white cops have gotten in more trouble in these areas, right?
Well, no, I think it's it's the mentality of policing, of military occupation that's gone on from the first time somebody was given a gun and told they were in charge of other people. It's a power trip, and it's not, race definitely plays a big part, but it's also just the structure of society needs people to keep to enforce the laws, and how do you instill that power to people and also factor in human error?
Wait till AI is going to learn ego. That's going to be the backfire, the massive backfire. Like, I am butthurt by what you said.
Right.
I am going to use excessive force.
All right, let's move on. So let's talk about Trisha says, what the actual fuck, Mike? 1 or 2 months ago,
shit.
you used the word retarded and I let it slide, but you just used it again. I don't have to tell you why it's offensive. What gets me is that you're a writer, for fuck's sake, and you can come up with a better, more clever word. Still love the show, but could you rid your lexicon of that word?
All right, Trisha. Okay. Can I just say that? She's right. And if I were to hurt my simple answer of okay, I would say I don't fully agree with that one. There are some things that come up, and I understand it, and I want to be sensitive. And if someone's feelings are hurt, Trisha, you don't sound retarded, so it's not going to be your feelings are hurt for another reason. But I would say, like for instance, I created a sitcom, and one of the issues was PC-ness in the workplace, and there was a human resources department and stuff like that. So I researched like crazy, actually, which, by the way, technically I'm not allowed to say the word crazy anymore, Trisha. You should bust me on that. And I looked up mentally retarded. I looked up mentally handicapped, and it was ever changing and really changing quickly. And the one that was current the week I looked it up was intellectually challenged. And to me, that sounds like you don't understand Joyce's Ulysses. And not that you have a severe mental handicap. And so I think that went by the wayside also. But I think it's wrong. I'm not going to defend it. But I don't know. That one, what do you think about the word?
I think that...
I'm clearly not making fun of those people. I'm not helping the situation, but I'm obviously have never had those people in mind, and maybe that's my fault when I said that, and I should have them in mind when I say the word, but in the right way.
I think when you take a word that used to be the legitimate description of people with intellectual disabilities and you apply it to people doing really stupid things, I think it's insulting to people with disabilities.
Okay, so I wonder what... Go ahead, I cut you off. My Adderall has kicked in. Go ahead.
Now, that being said, I've got, I don't like word police. I don't like that we have to be so wary of keeping up with what words change into what's accepted at any given time. But I do think it's lazy. I think that there's probably better ways of describing something than saying the word retarded.
Which we keep saying. And I slipped one in as a joke, Trish. I apologize. Okay, but Trisha, how about this? Can you write us back? And I'm being very sincere here. You are not allowed in the same exact area of the English language. You are also mentally or retarded, I believe, was a quantifiable level, the measurable level of intellect or whatever it was, of cognitive ability. So there was also moron, idiot,
imbecile.
So I know it's an easy answer to say, yes, don't say any of those words, but really like moron, so moron, would you say moron is just as powerful a word as the R word? See, I've already stopped. Also, you had a real blind spot to that issue, Tricia.
Well, let me just add to that.
Are we allowed to say blind? Because there is now a bunch of people advocating that you don't have a deaf ear to something. You don't have a blind spot to something. Crazy? Yeah. You're not allowed to say the word crazy. I'm asking.
I have my
These
grandfather's birth certificate from... I have my grandfather's birth certificate from Ireland, and on it, you have to list the child's name, and then there's a column to the right that's you're supposed to check. One says retarded and one says imbecile. They're, like you said, they were two different categories of levels of cognitive ability.
Right.
Anyway.
All
right, so we look forward to hearing from you, Tricia. I think this is a topic that should be discussed.
I know some people are sick of it, but I think when you get this technical and you narrow it down to these exact words, I think it could be an interesting conversation.
Okay.
I wonder if dumb is dumb one of them. Well, dumb means you can't speak, right?
Used to be mute. Yeah, used to be able to call that. Now that one is pretty cut and dry. That's pretty easy. Let's not call mute people dumb.
Well, we're not going to get any calls.
It's been a time. It's been a time since I've emailed you. Hope all is well. Listening to Sunday Papers, wanted to tell you a story. I went to an all-boys prep school, Calvert Hall College High School in Towson, Maryland, from 74 to 79. During phys ed, we had swimming in the indoor pool, and we were required to swim naked. I remember Brother Eugene, my typing teacher, would always be lurking in the background. Back then, it was normal and never gave it a second thought. Just saying. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, swimming naked was totally normal back then, and there was no constraints on who could be there. And there was, and like there wasn't like, I mean, this comes off of the story I told about being at the YMCA and a guy grabbing a little boy, but
playfully,
yeah, there's
Greg,
so much
come
more
on.
sensitivity to it now.
Oh, are you kidding me? Meanwhile, I think Mark was probably blown away by that 1937 stat. If he went to high school in 74 or prep school 74 to 79. That's one weird part of the story of the Village People is not only did people, especially in New York and other places like metropolitan areas, know gays, but all of them were talking about how priests were gay.
Yeah.
Even back then.
No, there were jokes.
Even in
People
the 70s.
made funny jokes where we laughed about priests fucking little boys.
But a guy dressed like an Indian with his abs dancing to YMCA, it somehow slipped through the filter.
Right.
All right.
This is from Holly in Atascadero, California.
Atascadero.
So when I was a kid, maybe 7 or 8, growing up in Framingham, Mass., I used to go to the Y with friends in the summer to swim. One time, the male lifeguard's nut was hanging out of the side of his swim trunks. So what did I do? I swam back and forth in front of him to stare at his ball sack, which is something I never saw before. LOL. I hope you're well and your spirits are high. You are loved. Thank you for all the content you provide.
What a
sounds
letter.
Sounds like that guy provided some content also.
What a letter. That was impressive. That's not something Trisha would ever write, I don't think.
Nope.
Do you think he knew, Holly, that you were scouting or whatever? Ogling? Is that I hate that word, but his ball? They were short. They were short back then.
Seeing nudity.
I don't know how old she is, but it sounds like this was more than 20 years ago.
Seeing nudity when you're a kid really is fascinating because it was just there wasn't a lot. There wasn't the internet. You couldn't just pull up nude photos and videos on your phone. And so when we saw it, it was a big fucking deal. It was exciting.
You would have thought I had a giant bag of cash in the Eastchester Public Library. I called over friends and word spread because I found a Mademoiselle magazine that had a self-breast exam with pictures in it. And it was like the briefcase that had that gold glow in Pulp Fiction. Everyone rushed over to the table, and there was this perfect model's boob right in the magazine.
Yeah. Dude, I remember.
That was last year.
I was asked to guest host this show on the USA Network back in New York years ago. And the guest on the show, who I got to interview, was Kathy Ireland. And she came out, and I was unable to speak. And the producer said, "What the fuck is going on?" I was like, "You don't understand the relationship I had with Victoria's Secret magazine and Kathy Ireland. Like, this is like there's Pam Anderson and there's Kathy Ireland, and I masturbated more times to her than anybody in the history of my life. And now I'm sitting 3 feet away and I'm interviewing her. It's crazy."
Yeah, they when that arrived, every household there was not much problem with the teenage boys that week, and they sent them everywhere. I guess there's the documentary about it now, and that was that genius guy's idea. And it was basically you were getting this sort of a slightly cooled down version of Playboy magazine free in your mailbox every month. And I mean, that was Victoria's Secret. But what about February came around and all teenage boys were waiting for the
Yeah,
swimsuit issue of
right.
Sports Illustrated? It was insane. I mean, there used to be, I remember, I forget what comedian had a joke. It was something like, with the Victoria's Secret catalog arrived this week, and boy, is my arm tired. Like, that was
Yeah.
like, it was just a running,
Right,
everyone
right.
knew the deal. Anyway,
All right,
now
well,
it's
let's cheer up and do
everywhere.
the Sunday funnies.
Okay.
All right, so
you
Loretta
frozen?
walks in the
Or are you-
door. She
there we
looks
go.
a little beat up, physically mangled. Oh, all right. Loretta walks in. She's a little beat up. She looks a little bit like she's been in an accident. And she looks at Leroy and she goes, we do have a self-driving car if you leave the parking brake off.
All right.
And then there's, what's this next one? Loretta's
Which
doing
one
the
you
bills, and she looks at Leroy and she goes, apparently money has ghosted us.
I love this couple.
Did I freeze?
No, I said
Yeah,
I love this
They're the
couple.
best.
They're good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the other couple.
And here's Hager and Helga gets up, and she looks at him, and she gets out of bed, and she's in her bathrobe yawning, and she goes to him, early morning, and then he gets into bed and goes, gzaw, and she goes, oh, late night. Well, Helga, why do you think it's a late night? You want to connect some dots of why your Viking pillaging husband is coming home at the crack of dawn? Do you think maybe there's rape? Has a rape been committed last night? And there's no accountability? There's no like, hey, what the fuck is going on here? What's with the
Viking rape.
patriarchy? Yeah.
Viking rape. You know, it's as if the new ones have cut out a few frames
Yes.
where he like flashes of images of his night or week away, and then is like, good night, and then
Right.
she's like, oh, late
Yeah.
night. Yeah. All right, Far Side. Here's what we got. We got a couple eating. I love how he depicts the couples too. There's always glasses and they're just blank, just blank.
Yeah.
There's no eyeball that you can see inside them or anything like that. So it's this couple eating at a table, and their dog has come in, and the dog is pointing a revolver right at the man who is chewing his food and is about to put another forkful in his mouth. And the quote that the dog says is, "Hey, bucko, I'm through begging." And
And he's-
I think this one needs a little context, which is in some ways, the comics were very inappropriate back then, but I don't know. There was still more of an innocence, and this one is chipping away at that
Yeah,
innocence.
right.
And it's absurd, like the dog in
Right.
Blondie would never, do something like this. But Chris chose this one. Maybe I wouldn't have chosen this one, but it's still
okay.
worth it.
And then Chris wrote,
Oh,
oh, come
Chris is
on,
getting
earlier
defensive.
story.
It's his favorite one. Okay. All right, it's his favorite one.
Oh,
Oh,
the dog
yes.
shooting the guy. Wow, we have undersold our crack MAGA producer. Nice one, Chris.
Jesus, that is so good.
Wow, that's real good.
It's not as great when the joke has to be explained to me, which
That's
is
on
on
us.
me,
That's
not
the-
Chris. Very well done,
You were
Chris.
wondering when the Adderall would kick in. Apparently, at an hour,
I bet he thought when I said context.
at an hour and 33 minutes, the Adderall has not kicked in.
I know, and I've had at least 3 callbacks today, and not there.
All right,
Not
let's
there.
get to
Well
our
done.
favorite couple. Dagwood's laying in bed wearing pajamas with donuts on them. Does
Yeah.
he wash them, I wonder? Yeah, no, he doesn't. Blondie fucking does. So she's laying over, and she's on her side, faced
Oh.
away from him appropriately. And this guy's going, I can't sleep. It's as if I can't turn off the lights in my head. And then Blondie says, imagine you're locked in a dark pizza place with all that pizza. And then the next frame, he's Zing. There's Z's coming out. He's sleeping. And she goes, works every time. How about this, Dagwood? Why don't you imagine that you're in a bed with a 5'9", buxom 36, 24, 36 with yellow locks and blue eyes and bowling pin calves, and she's available for your sexual exploitation at will. You're married. Why don't you imagine that? And maybe dropping a load inside of that might make you a little drowsy. Just another way to go.
And he's like, I can't turn the lights off. Yeah, her headlights. Don't turn them off. Dial them in. Are you insane?
Oh, the only pizza that should be a metaphor for her vagina. The pizza slice.
I thought it was going to be, imagine you're locked in a dark pizza place with all that pizza, and then you hear squirt, 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 and he's like, I can go to sleep now. Just the image.
All right,
makes
listen.
orgasm.
We've plowed through another Sunday Papers.
Yeah, we did.
Hoping you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. It's 2023, and we have to thank Midcoast Media, our production company, editors, producers, social media gurus. And Mike, anything you want to promote?
Well, at the risk of bringing Gubbins up again, we should have maybe at the top talked about how generous our listeners
Thank you
have
guys.
been. And so I think next week we should follow up that they were so generous to Dennis, and Dennis was able to get clubs.
Yes. Dennis Gubbins is back playing golf thanks to you.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? So we should talk about that next week a little bit without boring people. But it's really giving credit. It's really about our listeners, not Dennis.
Right. Okay. Well, listen, we'll see you guys a week from tonight. It'll be on February 5th at the Comedy Store. Get tickets at fitsdog.com for the special. And that'll do it. We'll talk to you soon.
Okie doke, folks. Take it eesh.
Take it eesh. Read all about it. But the news is still coming to you live. It's Sunday Papers.
My childhood herpes. My childhood herpes. My childhood herpes.
College, I took a shit in the shower.
My childhood herpes. My childhood herpes. My childhood herpes. The V is for vagina.
Give me a crinkle. Give me a crinkle. Give me a crinkle. Give me a crinkle. For Gubbins. Give me a crinkle. Give me a crinkle.
His helmet on was
Give me a crinkle. Give me a crinkle.
Mike in it.